The heavenly clubhouse. There were a lot of beautiful women who were dressed very revealingly, which was fatal for me, a young man from the countryside. I accidentally became a duck and visited the private park of rich white women. Sister Rose. She has a beautiful body, and beautiful, although they are 40 years old, but the skin is smooth, is every man's heart of the bed lover. I almost every day to see her will sneak a look at her, because of her foreman, often see her lead a row of beautiful women in the lounge. At first I didn't know what foreman meant, but then after a coworker explained it, I realized it. Once, I went into the lounge to clean up and it just so happened that Sister Rose was the only one there. She was sitting on the sofa, revealing her tantalizingly large white legs, and my condescending gaze happened to see her deep, bottomless career line. Have never seen this kind of situation, I can't help but blush. Rose's sister also saw my embarrassment, just a slight smile and asked me, good looking? At that time, my first reaction was to reply that it looked good. Want to touch it? Want to? No, no, no. I shook my head and waved my hands in a hurry. Sister Rosebud bared her teeth as if it were a flash of flowers, and that chest trembled as I watched my mouth go dry. She reached out and grabbed my hand, then pulled it next to hers. I don't know when my hands had already tightly grasped Sister Rosebud's small white zephyr hands. It was really smooth and soft. Sister Rosebud hastily drew back her hand and scolded, "Good you Lin Fei, how dare you molest me? I'll let the manager fire you right now." Upon hearing this, I was instantly confused and hurriedly let go of her hand, my mouth hurriedly shouting, "No, no, no. Sister Rose, I didn't do it on purpose, just now I was too excited, please, Sister Rose, I really didn't do it on purpose." I was busy blocking the door of the rest, and then folded my hands, my tears were about to fall. Just at this time, Sister Rosebud suddenly picked up her bag, then drew out a stack of bills and handed it to me. "Sister Rosebud, what are you doing here? Take it, I've noticed you since the first day you came here, you're very hardworking, and you should be very short of money, right?" "No, no, no. Sister Rose, although I need money badly, I can't take your money like this for no reason. I was born in the countryside and was but naked at the age of 6. It's not that I'm shameless, but I'm really poor. I was afraid of being poor, so I wanted to make a name for myself very much, and I studied very hard and worked very hard in order to make my parents' lives better in the future. The emperor was not disappointed, so I was admitted to the university, and people in my village were exceptionally happy. My dad was even more excited and killed a pig and invited the whole village for dinner. But I was admitted to the University of Northern Austria. The tuition fee is very expensive, just the accommodation fee my family cannot afford. The people in the village were also poor and borrowed everything they could. Then my father went to work in the county early in the morning in order to help me raise enough money for tuition, and every time he came back, he was physically and mentally exhausted. One day, my dad came home late, and my mom and I were waiting anxiously at home. My mom and I waited anxiously at home, but when we waited, the village idiot told us that my dad was working on a construction site, and he fell down and broke his leg. My mom and I rushed to the hospital and saw my dad lying weakly in the hospital bed. I cried like a little child and fell down in front of my dad, saying that I would not go to college. However, my dad scolded me and said that it was hard to get a college student out, so I had to go no matter what. Even if he lost his life, he had to pay for me to go to college. That day, I didn't bring up the matter anymore. Later, when school started, I took the money from my mom's hand, and I felt unusually heavy. In order to save money, my dad stayed for 3 days and said he would not be hospitalized. My mom and I couldn't argue with him, so now he has been lying in bed at home. My eyes were full of tears. I grabbed my dad's hand and said, "I will definitely go to school, and I want to pack a lot of money, and I won't let you two old people suffer anymore." I cried as I walked that day. When I came to Bayo, I found the school according to the acceptance notice, and paid all the money my mom gave me, and all I had left was $20. That night I went out to look for a job. Near the school, a club called Heavenly World was recruiting, and it took special care of students. Then I came here. Sister Rose was stunned, probably did not expect me to have this kind of backbone, but then she said, "The money is not for nothing." I asked her what it was, and she said that as long as she promised to do things for her, she would not pursue the previous things, and she would also give me a salary. When I heard this, I froze in my tracks. Rose sisters work in Heavenly Paradise. I know, foreman, is to lead the Heavenly Paradise escort lady. The more people to lead, the higher her income. But she was looking for me. What could I do to help? So I asked her, what is it? Massage for clients. Massage? Isn't this something only found in foot massage stores? Seeing my dumbfounded face, Sister Chance was busy explaining, actually, it's just some clients requesting to go to their place, and to put it bluntly, they are ducks. Duh. When I heard that, I quickly shook my head and said no. Do you want to get fired? And you just molested me, plus now you and I are sharing a room, after we go out, as long as I shout, not to mention you being fired, I'm afraid you want to go out to the heavenly world is a problem. Sister Rosebud said this, I was immediately embarrassed, obviously she seduced me. Okay. Damn, I did not expect Sister Rosebud to come to this set, and thus also know that she not only led the escort lady this line, I can't imagine ducks she also has. Rose sister see I do not make a sound, will continue to say, do duck nothing bad, there are women to play, and money to take, why not? Besides, you should be a student of North Olympic, right? Generally speaking, those who come here to work are poor students now. When I heard this, I thought of my mom and dad. Sister Rose is right, I'm poor and short of money, I'm having such a hard time just paying for my first semester's tuition. What about the second semester? What about sophomore and junior year? When I thought about it, I didn't dare to think about it, should I still let my dad limp to work to save up for my tuition? Rose sister see me do not speak, then the money into my hands and said, take it, I now give you to explain some of the problems of doing this business. That stack of bills, I looked at more than 2,000, Sister Chance told me that this is only the money for one service. But I also felt surprised that being a duck is so profitable. Later Chance sister told me, door-to-door service is actually not very difficult, is to give customers massage, and then chat, play games and so on. If the customer has the demand, may have to do a little exercise. I naturally heard what this exercise was all about. That night, I went back to my dorm room with my head full of both ducks and tuition. The next day, early in the morning I was called by the dormitory administrator to answer the phone. The phone is my mom called. She told me, my father's disease seems to be getting worse, the leg does not get better, as if the roots of the disease, every day the pain and the shouting. When I heard that, I told my mom to let my dad go to the hospital, I'll take care of the money. My mom asked me where I got the money, I said I got a job in the neighborhood, and the wages in the city were very high, and then my mom believed me. In the evening after school, I came to the heavenly world, directly to the Rose sister. Rose sister is not ambiguous, directly told me, watermark on the mention of the neighborhood, 2023. When I stepped into the neighborhood, I deliberately slowed down my steps, a little hesitant in my heart, or a little afraid, but still arrived at the agreed room. I knocked on the client's door. An airy, wasp-waisted, jade-legged woman appeared in front of me, looking only 30 years old, with a face full of collagen, and a body that was even more concave and convex like that of a young girl. Finally added a red tight cheongsam, outlined her devil-like figure, dignified and seductive. I didn't expect my first service to actually come across such a woefully stunning woman. If I hadn't embarked on this career, I wouldn't have dreamed of crossing paths with such a goddess. The woman in the cheongsam took a look and seemed to be a bit shy, asking, little brother, newcomer here? At that time, I nodded with a shy face, after all, it was my first time doing this kind of thing. Yi's sister looked at me and said a little awkwardly, you don't know how? How about I do it myself? It was then that I realized that Sister Rose had told me that to help a client with a massage, you have to make the bed first. I hurriedly shook my head, bowed down and straightened the bed for Yi's sister, and picked up a white bathrobe that was placed at the head of the bed, and said, Yi's sister, don't make it difficult for me, it's better for me to do it, otherwise if I get a complaint later, I won't be able to keep this job. Sister Yi nodded, and lay down on the bed, her arms relaxed and stretched out. I hurriedly took off my shoes and got on the bed, kneeling on the bed and carefully sitting on Yi's thighs. Honestly, this series of movements, I was doing it in a smooth manner, probably because I was leaning towards Goddess Yiya's face and body. However, Yiya's body was extremely well built, and with it being wrapped in a cheongsam, the curves of her body were perfectly displayed. With just one glance, I was indisputably feeling it. I've never been in such close contact with a woman, let alone the Yiya in front of me. That figure really has no words. I didn't dare to look more, hurriedly took the white bathrobe to cover Yiya's sister, reached out gently to the bathrobe under Yiya's sister's cheongsam side of one, in order not to let Yiya's sister misunderstanding. I also hastened to say, Yiya's sister, I'm going to start to help you take off the cheongsam. Sister Yiya nodded in agreement. I reached out and twisted the mouth of the cheongsam, gently unraveled, the cheongsam tautly popped open, and after even undoing 3 buttons, the entire cheongsam was already loose. I then reached down and gently pinched the side hem of the cheongsam, pulling it to the side. My fingers crossed the Yiya's sister, my fingers came from the tender and smooth, tight touch. There was another burst of heartbeat. Yiya's sister's body slightly trembled, perhaps my first time, do not do enough, still a little nervous. I was busy in accordance with the Rose sister said, gave a few jokes to amuse Yiya's sister, and so on. She relaxed, the cheongsam also came off. When taking off the cheongsam, I also stole a glance. Yiya's sister is actually wearing a black thin silk wrap instead of a bra. Without the support of the bra, the chest shape can still be so good looking. At this age has been very rare. The thin silk wrap is almost translucent. Fortunately, Yiya's sister is lying on her back. If it is facing me lying, I am afraid it is full of spring color cannot control. I rubbed hot hands, then directly gently pressed on the sides of the waist of Yiya's sister. There are acupoints on the waist, our kind of massage, not just loosening the tendons and bones, but to press certain acupoints, to provoke the kind of thoughts of the client, to serve the client well, serve comfortably, then it will be a success. Holding the idea of trying, after I pressed a few times, Yiya's sister's body immediately became hot. About Yiya's sister's physique is more sensitive. At that moment, my hands did not dare to stop, and immediately increased the intensity to Yiya's sister's waistbands for a comprehensive massage. Yiya's sister's waist, although slender, but not belong to the slim kind, press up very elastic, but also very comfortable, look slender, but are shaped out of the muscle, look very comfortable. Pressing the press, I did not hold back, my fingers gently moved down a bit, pressed in the Yiya's sister's firm buttocks edge. Yiya's sister suddenly a soft humming out, fingers also instantly twisted the white bed sheet. I hurriedly let go of my hand, took the oil to the hand, rubbed, asked if it is very painful. It's my first time, maybe I didn't do it well enough. Yiya's sister shook her head and said no, which made me relax. Then I awkwardly asked, Yiya's sister still want to go a little deeper? Or should I press your back for you? Yiya's sister's breathing was already a little short at this time, and she inclined her head before saying, press your back, later. It was probably because that fat woman hadn't come out yet, and she didn't know what was appropriate and what wasn't. I smiled and agreed, uncovering the bath towel that Yiya's sister had covered her back, stretching my fingers and rubbing them in along the seam of the breast wrap, slowly following the spine, a little bit to help Yiya's sister smooth the muscles behind her back. Yiya's sister also seems to realize that this wrapped chest a bit in the way, actually also took the initiative to mention a sentence, if you're not good at pressing, then I'll take off the wrapped chest, right? I was shocked in my heart, originally thought that Yiya's sister first time to come, will be a little bit unable to let go, did not think so quickly into the state. I just want to say good, but heard the bathroom side came ringing. I hurriedly said, or I come off it, you lie on the line. After saying that, I stretched out my fingers, gently pinched the 2 sides of the breast wrap, gently lifted upward. A large area of snow white bulged out, although I have been very careful, but once I stretched out my fingers, still touched a few times, that amazing elasticity of touch, let my body shivered, feel like I cannot help it. Yiya's sister probably also felt that I was not intentional, so did not say anything, but instead cooperated with me to reach out and take off the chest wrap. I carefully folded the chest wrap and put it on the side. I can't afford to pay for these things used by the rich if they are slightly broken. After placing the wrap, I immediately began to get on with it, starting from the shoulders and smoothing it down a little. Even though I was sitting upright, I could still see a bit of tantalizing spring light bulging out from the side, and I could only try hard to control my eyes to keep myself from imagining things. My hand is pressed on the back of Yiya's sister, hand and our all-essential oil, slippery, accidentally, a slip in the hand, directly along the back side of Yu's sister slipped a little. Yu's sister immediately is off sound, body trembled, warm touch in my hand is another pressure, on the spot to me scared to freeze. There are a lot of things we can't do unless the client requests it themselves. You guy. Trying to eat tofu on purpose. I immediately retracted my hand in a panic, my face instantly red and my heart beating wildly fast, explaining that it was just that my hand had just slipped. I was so flustered that I was at a loss for words, my face flushed red, and I felt like the whole thing was over. Luckily, Yu's sister was just joking with me, saying that I was quite disciplined in front and also pressed well, so it might really be a mistake. Just touching Yu's sister there was still residual warmth. I felt a feeling of pleasure that I had never felt before. But at this point, I had to first cover Sister Yu's bathrobe like this, and went over to press the fat woman. Then again to Yu's sister pressed for a while. On 11 o'clock, time is up, I almost should go, I said with Yu's sister time is up, if you like, next time you can also point me. Of course this is polite words. I quite like you guys. Let's do it this way, you don't have to go back today, stay and accompany Sister Yu for a night. I know the price over at your clubhouse, I'll give double. How about it? Accompany one night. Could it be that? My heart was incomparably excited, yet I couldn't show it too obviously. Stay to accompany the customer, I also was the first time, before I heard, is nothing more than which customer looks at you, want you, night if you give a force, the people accompanied by cool, the future of the day will be stable, maybe people directly package you. When I first came in, I also know that the chances of encountering this kind of very low, I do not want to be a white boy, just want to rely on their own hands to earn some money, although not too bright and honorable kind, but not stealing, not robbing, but also efforts to exchange. Who knows, I entered this line not long ago, I met. It is said that the woman 30 like a wolf 40 like a tiger, I'm still just a green little hare, cannot serve the Yu's sister, I'm not sure at all, and I'm also very reluctant, at least they are a virgin, the heart and fantasize about their future ticket. Write Yu's sister to bathe in the gap, I also deliberately borrow Yu's sister's phone, called back to the dormitory that I cannot go back to the internet cafe all-nighter tonight, and then called to the store, the manager side has received the news, told me to make a good effort. Yu's sister quickly finished showering out, wearing a short robe, 2 even long legs in front of me, I hurriedly said I also go to the bath, as if fleeing into the bathroom. The bathroom also put Yu's sister just changed down the small inner, black lace, touch very comfortable. Could it be that Yu's sister had just worn nothing and came out like this? I shook my head, trying hard to keep myself from thinking about this, took a quick shower, and came out. Yu's sister was lying on the bed, playing with her cell phone, and when she saw that I had come out, she suddenly smiled, put down her cell phone, and asked, "Shall we start? Get in the driver's seat." Yu's sister suddenly opened her mouth. I froze for a moment, knowing what it was from Sister Yu's gaze. I could only carefully go back to the front, open the door and sit in the driver's seat. Whoops. The car started as I fastened my seatbelt. The view out the window faded quickly after the whoosh. I blushed, not only was this woman ferocious in that area, did she even have to be so ferocious in driving? When I accidentally glanced at the speed of the car, I found that this woman on the main road to 110 yards. Grass. Is she going to drag me to the west with her? My face changed greatly, and I begged in a low voice, "Sister, Yu's sister. Can you drive a little slower?" Hee hee. Sister Yu laughed, and stepped on the gas, instantly soaring to 130. I'm going to die. Just when I was in shock, Sister Yu suddenly stepped on the brakes sharply, and her speed plummeted. The friction between the wheels of the car and the road made an ear-piercing sound. A few seconds later, the car stopped in front of a traffic light. My body is scared out of cold sweat, face a little white, hands tightly grasp the car seat. Rich people, so fucking crazy. Hee hee. Yu's sister gave a playful laugh, one hand gripped the steering wheel, one hand patted my shoulder, after making me shiver, said, "Don't be nervous, I've been driving this road for 7 or 8 years, I'm more familiar with it than my own home. There won't be any problems, just feel at ease and experience the thrill of racing." Pfft. The people who have the most accidents in this world are this kind of people who think they won't have any accidents. A drowning person is a good swimmer, that's what it says. Shivering and opening my mouth, I was about to advise when the red light turned green and the car whined like a rocket launching, whooshing out a long distance. I was so scared that I closed my eyes, hands clutching the car seat, praying in my heart, never rough, I'm still young, I don't want to die. Under the laughter, ridicule of Yi's sister, the car came to a stop in front of a deserted park. Parking the car, Yi's sister patted my shoulder, snort. I didn't expect you to be so timid. Let's go, sister, let you come to my private park to hang out today, seeing as you gave me a massage all day today, it's a reward for you. I nodded awkwardly and asked, Sister Yi, I'll do whatever you say. I have no experience at all in this kind of thing, and I don't know what to do, so I had to ask. Let's start with a massage, your technique is quite good, I like it. Then we had some academic intercourse, like a fish out of water, and went to Wushan together. It was about 2 hours or so, and Yaya-sen gave me a walk all over her body. In the end she got a little disoriented and fell asleep. To be able to go to Wushan with such a beautiful and temperamental little rich girl was something I never dared to think about in my life. Unwillingly, I looked at that charming carcass a few more times, then helped to cover the quilt and left. I went back to the dormitory, slept for another afternoon, still feeling the whole person wilted, ate dinner, I went to the clubhouse, took the money from Sister Rose. Then at night, Sister Rose let me take a single again, this time to take a single, in fact, very let me surprised, because this woman is actually with me about the same age. But after I went in, having had the experience of Yi's sister, I quickly started. She was very pretty, even prettier than Yi's sister, and when I looked at her, my heart inexplicably raced. At that time, I was giving her a massage while chatting, I was chatting with her very happily, from the time I came out of my house until now, she was the first person who talked with me so openly, I guess it was because of the similar age. Her name is Chen Xiaoli, also from the countryside. Later I asked her why she wanted to order this kind of service, who knows she suddenly changed her mind, took out the money and immediately told me to get lost. I have no idea what's going on, but I don't know why, I care about her. I went back to the Rose sister, asked Chen Xiaoli's situation. Rose sister immediately warned me that do not go to harass the customer, otherwise not only I suffer, she will also suffer. But I didn't even think about it, I went back to Chen Xiaoli's place again, but this time I found that there were noises inside her, I went in and found that she was arguing with a man. Maybe I was in too much of a hurry and rushed in. After the man saw me, he immediately looked puzzled, and I immediately thought of something and immediately turned away. But since then, my mind has been filled with thoughts of Chen Xiaoli. Later, Sister Rose also told me, don't mess things up again, by the boss found out, even she suffered. Then she gave me a sum of money, saying that this is my salary for the past few days. I took the money and remitted it to my mom. My mom didn't ask me how I earned it, but simply sent me a text message telling me that the money was received. Then I told my mom to rush my dad to the hospital. I was fine for the night, so after I finished my work I left. It was already after 11 when I got off work, and as I walked back to school, my feelings were suddenly complicated. At this time, but I have an extraordinarily strong feeling in my heart, I hope that in the university, I can meet a beautiful her, this her, must be Chen Xiaoli, I want to have a real love affair with her, rather than every day in these old women's body torture. The next day, came to the heavenly world, suddenly found that Rose's sister do not know where to go. At this time the manager called out to me, he said a guest named me to take the order. I walked in according to the door number, and the first thing I saw was Chen Xiaoli. She was wearing a pure white cutout patterned long dress today, the dress perfectly outlined her good figure, looking very sexy and inviting people to commit crimes. I didn't expect that the person who ordered me would be her, I immediately felt a little hot, and after swallowing my saliva, I knocked on the door of the room. Chen Xiaoli looked back, and when she saw that the person who came was me, her whole body froze, looking very surprised. Just when I felt strange, a man's voice also came out from the room. Feeling surprised, are you? That man laughed and slowly walked out from inside, his hand wrapped around Chen Xiaoli's thin waist. What are you doing? Let go of her. Seeing that he had wrapped his arms around Chinxiali's waist, my fire instantly bubbled up and I rushed over to raise my hand to slap him. But I didn't expect him to act as if he had anticipated it, easily grabbing my wrist and kicking me hard in the stomach. My eyes blackened with pain, and I heard him say, "You're a poor boy with no money and no power, how dare you tease my woman?" He then stomped on my cheek with his foot and pressed my face to the cold floor, then spat at me. "You don't take a piss to see what kind of person you are, and you dare to steal a woman from me, Xiao Wu." I struggled a few times. Xiao Wu sneered and snapped his fingers towards the outside of the door. Then, I saw 3 very majestic big men came in from the door, wearing black tights. They looked like the thugs he called in. They had me pinned to the ground, my head held down in front of Xiao Wu by them. "I heard that you ran away last night. That group of people are really useless. Dealing with a minion like you actually need me to do it myself." He sneered, kicked me hard with his foot and said with his finger, "Even if you want to run today, there's no way you can. I'll not only let you break your arms and legs, I'll also make you unable to be a man. Aren't you a cheap dog that only sticks out your tongue to please women anyway?" The words Xiao Wu said became more and more unpleasant to the ears. I red-faced and struggled desperately. "Yo, still want to struggle? Really insensitive, then I'll beat you until you're willing to take the initiative to kneel down and lick my old man's shoes. I might be in a good mood and let you go." He laughed a few times, hugged Chinxiali, and even put his hand on her ass in front of me. I was furious for a while, but I couldn't break away from the bodyguards clamping down on me, so I could only take their punches and kicks hard. At first there was still some strength to resist, then I don't know who stepped on my shoulder that was injured yesterday, only to hear the bones click with a crunching sound, and a heart-eating pain suddenly surged to my head. "Stop fighting, Sha. It'll kill someone." Chinxiali pulled his arm somewhat anxiously. Seeing her begging for mercy from me, Xiao Wu's heart flashed with a hint of pleasure, so he intensified his efforts and slowly moved his hand upwards from his ass to her front breasts. Then picked her chin up with one finger. "You want to beg for mercy for him?" Chinxiali pursed her lips. Of course she knew the meaning of his words. "Just let him go, I'll fulfill you whatever you want to do tonight." Her eyes suddenly contained a touch of water vapor, looking very attractive and loving. This look was naturally incomparably hot to see in Xiao Wu's eyes. He immediately kissed her lips, and one of his hands was still very restless as he teased her white rabbit. Chinxiali flashed a trace of pain. This scene all fell in my eyes. "Don't! Xiali, don't!" I held back my tears and shouted. Chinxiali froze for a moment and slightly opened her eyes, trying to push Xiao Wu away. But he impatiently grabbed her arm tightly and gradually nibbled on her neck as if he hadn't heard anything. Well, Chinxiali's legs went weak for a while. Seeing that I was being beaten more and more fiercely by the bodyguards, she had to attach herself to Xiao Wu's ear and say, "Brother Wu, let's go to the hotel. I don't feel comfortable with all these people watching me." Once Xiao Wu heard her call him Brother Wu, his heart was immediately happy, thinking that he had conquered this woman in front of him. Then he lightly coughed and let go of her. To the bodyguards around me who were still inflicting violence on me, he said, "All right, all of you leave." Upon hearing this, those bodyguards immediately exited the room in a well-trained manner, leaving only the dying me sprawled out on the floor. Tisk, so miserable. Xiao Wu picked up my chin with his shoe and gave me a very despicable look, then said with Chinxiali, "According to what you said, I'll let him go. But tonight, you have to honor your promise." Xiao Wu looked at her with a lecherous smile. Just as Chinxiali was about to follow Xiao Wu, I fought my way up from the ground and gently tugged on her skirt with my hand. Chinxiali turned back and made a silent gesture, her gaze somewhat sad. With a mouthful of words, she said to me, "Study hard and don't get into trouble with her again," and then followed Xiao Wu out of the store. As soon as they left, I sat inside the room for a long time before slowly walking out. When I went out, my coworkers looked at me differently than usual. At first there was a coworker who would still care about me, but now he shook his head and walked away when he saw me. I gritted my teeth and ran into the restroom. The person in the mirror was pale and bruised. I washed the blood from the corner of my mouth with water, but I couldn't use my left hand, it seemed to be dislocated. The pain forced me to become conscious, and after rearranging my clothes, I walked out. Who knew that the manager did not know when to come? A fierce face stood in front of the bar. When he saw me coming, he raised his hand and slapped me without saying a word. I was a little confused by his beating, and a taste of blood immediately welled up in my mouth. Not useful at all. It's only been a few days since you've been here, and you're netting me trouble. I glared at him and was just about to retort when he pointed at the door and said, still growing a temper, aren't you? I'm telling you, you don't have to come to work from tomorrow. I was violently stunned for a moment, not expecting the manager to actually kick me out. Manager, why are you so angry? A familiar voice came from behind me. I turned my head and it was actually Sister Rose. She was dressed very sexy, only her face seemed a bit pale, like she hadn't slept well for many days. Sister Rosebud naturally saw my emotions and made a wink with me, signaling me not to be impulsive. Of course I knew that she was helping me, the fire in my heart could only be suppressed again and again. Sister Rose saw how the manager did not let up, she also knew that Xiaowu was not to be messed with, and suddenly frowned. All in all. Behind me came another melodious female voice. Before I could look back, I first saw the manager's respectful little eyes. That attentive attitude, it's so hard to stick the whole person on that woman's body. Suddenly someone hitched my shoulder from behind and whispered in my ear, little guy, don't get your clothes in order during work hours. Because of the beating they gave me earlier, my body was definitely covered in dust. I felt a little embarrassed, and just as I turned around, my eyes crashed into a soft white deep ravine. She cupped my face and said to me with great heartache, such a nice-looking face, who beat it like this? I raised my head to look at her and realized that it was Sister Yiya. She was wearing a very elegant cheongsam, the design was yet different from the traditional, with a wide-open deep V neckline, and two semicircular arcs just wrapped around her proud capital. The waist was a tight design, following the body line wrapping her plump roundness, perfectly outlining all the advantages of her body, looking very open and sexy. Yiya's sister, I glanced at her with some embarrassment and bowed my head slightly. Manager. Yiya's sister hooked her lips and slowly walked towards him, gently coming up to his ear. I don't care who Faye offended, I'll just put a word here first. He's my man, and if anyone dares to touch him, I think you know what will happen. Understood. The manager broke out in a cold sweat after hearing this and immediately nodded with a compensatory smile. Okay. I know, don't worry about it, Sister Yiya. Sister Yiya spoke in a very low voice, I only vaguely heard some of it. Seeing that she also spoke for me, a wave of warmth surged in my heart. Sister Yiya smiled and walked to my side, and also very painfully took a stack of money out and stuffed it onto my front chest pocket. Hurry up and go to the hospital, I'll come back for you when you're better. I was still a bit confused, and only responded when I saw Sister Rose cough lightly a few times. I said thank you with some redness in my eyes, and then I saw Sister Yiya smile and touch my hair, saying something about a silly child. It wasn't until after she left that the manager's waist, which was bent at 90 degrees, straightened up, and immediately ran to my side, violently flinging himself across the face. I'm sorry just had eyes and didn't recognize MT Tai, you don't want to be general with me haha. He compensated with a smile. That said, you're so lucky, you just met such a great person like Yiya's sister as soon as you arrived, it's really enviable. He exclaimed, then proceeded to make amends with me and apologized, saying that he could let me have 2 days off, but make sure to ask me to remember to come back to work. I suddenly felt a little sick to my stomach at the manager's big change of heart. Come on kid, I'll take you to the hospital. Sister Rosebud took my hand and then brought me to the parking lot. Sister Rose walked to a white Porsche and stopped. I was a bit incredulous, this car is at least several $1 million. What are you waiting there for, don't come up yet. She pulled open the door and sat in. I swallowed my saliva, then also sat in. I didn't expect that Sister Rosie was actually so rich, and those clothes she wore on her body were probably all famous brands. When I thought of those words that Xiaowu mocked me with, I instantly felt a bit inferior. Don't think too much, as long as you work hard, in the future you'll live a better life than me. Sister Rosebud said to me with a smile as if she knew what I was thinking in my heart. Really Sister Rosebud? Is doing this really that lucrative? If that's the case, then I won't have to worry about my living expenses and tuition fees in the future. Sister Rosebud just laughed and didn't say anything, it's just that we all know it by heart. When I arrived at the hospital for a checkup, I found out that my left arm was not dislocated, but just a little strained. There were also quite a few purple-red lumps on my body, all kicked out by their feet. Sister Rose didn't expect me to be hurt so badly, and at once she also became a little angry. That Xiao Wu is really ruthless too. She told the doctor to prescribe more medicine for me, and finally insisted on driving me back to school. No, Sister Rose, I'm not going back to school. I lowered my head with some difficulty, clutching the bag of medicines prescribed from the hospital tightly in my hand. Why? Because I said with some embarrassment, if I go back to school in this appearance, I will definitely let the gatehouse Moncler see it. At that time, then, the grandpa certainly again thought it was those punks last night, will certainly let me call the police, then things will be a big deal. Sister Rose just glanced at me and didn't ask any further. Instead she said, then why don't you just stay at my place for the next few days? I was a bit surprised. What did she say just now? Let me stay at her place? No, it's better to forget about Sister Rosebud. I can stay in a hotel. I shook my head with some blushing. It's fine, I'll just live alone, the house is quite big, there's a floor for you to sleep on. After saying that, she made a handsome swerve, and the car gradually drove towards the bustling city center. After coming to this city for so long, I haven't even come out for a proper walk. Other than the distance from the school to the nightclub, I hadn't been anywhere else. Coming to an upscale neighborhood, Sister Rose lived on the highest floor. The living room was connected to her room, both of which had a night view of the entire city. The decor inside was also beautiful, with white as the main tone, and in the living room there was a large wine cabinet with a lot of foreign wines that I didn't recognize. Will your shower affect your wounds? She set her bag on the coffee table. I shook my head and said that it wouldn't bother me, as long as my left hand didn't touch the water, the rest were just superficial wounds. Then Sister Rose told me to take a shower first, and even took a very wide bathrobe from her house for me. After I came out of the bath, she went after me. The long white dress, under the light, actually had some of the flavor of a see-through dress. Realizing that my body started to get inexplicably hot, I quickly averted my gaze. Peacefully sitting on the sofa and waiting for Rosie's sister to come out, looking at the surroundings, I couldn't help but sigh. Wanting to survive in a bustling metropolis was really not an easy task.